What's going on, guys? White Fox 1225 here, and today we're going to be talking about Cyberpunk 2077. There's enough info on the game out there to be really hyped about it, but we still don't know all that much, so in this video I'm going to tell you guys what I personally want to see from the game and what I think the devs are most likely to do with the title. Let's start off by talking about the gameplay. Gameplay-wise, Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be pretty different from the Witcher series. The obvious difference is that The Witcher is a sword fighting game, and in Cyberpunk we'll have different guns and futuristic weapons at our disposal. But there's other changes too, like the addition of character creation and new character classes. Also, this time around, instead of just third person, we'll also have a first person view to use. Personally, I hope we get a really good shooter with a lot of new mechanics that we haven't seen in The Witcher before, like stealth, a cover system, parkour, agility skills, and other things like that. Also, I really hope that we get more skill lines and better progression. The Witcher was good, but it was very focused on just a few different skill lines, where in this one, I really want you to be able to customize the way you play. The original Cyberpunk game was a tabletop game, so expect to see lots of elements from that in the gameplay. It's not going to be turn-based or anything like that, but do expect to see some of those elements bleed into this game. There should be about 12 different classes in the game, and I'll make a separate video on that soon. They're all from the original tabletop version. I'm hoping those classes have different playstyles and different skill lines, that way you actually feel like the character you're trying to roleplay. We also know there's going to be tech implants and things of that nature, so those should spice up the gameplay quite a bit, and hopefully they'll have their own skill lines as well. I really want to see progression more like Fallout or Skyrim than The Witcher, something where we can actually choose the playstyle we want and have a lot of different options on how we get through certain scenarios, like using stealth, hacking, or even just using charisma to talk your way out of it. Knowing Cyberpunk though, and the classes available, I would guess that's exactly what we're gonna get, and I think we'll see a lot of different skill lines and customization options, so fingers crossed that's what actually happens. Vehicles are actually a big part of the Cyberpunk universe, so I'd be kinda shocked if we didn't see them in some shape or form in the game. I'd love to see vehicle warfare, things like chase missions and fights, along with customization of your car. Things like mounting your own weapons, different paints and performance mods. All of those would give you something really cool to spend your money on in-game. And speaking of cool things to spend your money on, I'd be pretty disappointed if this game doesn't have some sort of player housing. Just for me personally, buying and decorating homes, or maybe apartments in this case, is one of the funnest things to do in an RPG, and I think a lot of people would agree with me on that. It just makes you feel like part of the world around you and like you have a place to call your own and come back to after you're done with your adventure. Another thing I'd like to see is weapons and armor upgraded a bit from The Witcher 3. Like a lot of people, I think the visuals in the Wild Hunt are just simply beautiful, but a lot of the weapons and armor were pretty bland and nothing really special. So this time around I'd love to see more advanced crafting and unique armor styles, something where you can wear it and just go, wow, this looks really sick and my character looks really cool. Since the game does take place in Night City, the devs could do some really cool things with the map and verticality that most settings just don't give you the option for. There definitely will be a lot of skyscrapers and buildings, so hopefully we'll be able to explore those areas along with the areas on the ground. Let's move along and touch on modding real quick. Improved modding for Cyberpunk is something I know the community would be behind. There were mods for The Witcher 3, but they were never really as good as they could have been. So if CD Projekt Red really wants to compete with companies like Bethesda, I think they have to release a better mod support system and better tools for their content creators. Story-wise, I don't really care too much what the story of Cyberpunk involves, but no matter what it is, I really want it to be dark and gritty, similar to the way The Witcher was. The world of The Witcher is pretty realistic and dark for a fantasy world, kinda similar to something like Game of Thrones in a way. The game didn't shy away from adult themes like racism or the consequence of violence, and the choices you made had real consequences, and sometimes things just didn't work out perfectly or the way that you wanted them to. I just hope Cyberpunk brings that to the table, and I think it should, because as a genre, Cyberpunk is supposed to be dark, gritty, and represent a poor and broken futuristic society. So I would 100% expect CD Projekt Red to replicate that in this game, and I know they'll do a great job with it. In my opinion, the best part of the Wild Hunt was how the cutscenes were done and how great the visuals were, and I just felt like I was watching a movie for about 100 hours. I would hope they continue that with Cyberpunk, but since we're creating our own character this time around, I'm not too sure they'll have that or we'll have a voice protagonist, but honestly I don't really know, so we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. The very last thing I want to mention is kinda obvious, but just like any good role-playing game, this game needs to have loads of choices, different factions to join, and ways to change the world around you, and I have no doubt that's exactly what the devs are gonna do. And that is pretty much it for my list, guys. If CD Projekt Red does all of this, I think we'll have an absolutely amazing RPG to play. But that's just my opinion, so let me know in the comments below what you guys want to see from the game. I'll have more videos on Cyberpunk 2077 and other RPGs soon, so if you want to see that, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you liked the video, make sure you give a like. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.